This is Leo from Hong Kong, and he's asking me about Alzheimer's. You know, anytime you deal with Alzheimer's, you deal with dementia, anything that deals with the central nervous system, the brain, the hard drive. What are we dealing with? Bunch of cells, right? Doesn't matter whether you're dealing with serotonins, neurotransmitters, doesn't matter. Because what you want to think of is cells and the health of those cells. If you keep it that simple, you want to reach the cell because the cell makes up everything, including every part of the brain. And you want to think about the two fluids that touch the health of these cells. And so you're going to go back to that understanding that all the body is a bunch of cells with two major fluids handling the health of these cells, and that 3/4 of these interstitial fluids, these fluids that flow around the cells, is predominantly lymph. So whether some cells have less or more, I don't care. The bottom line is that when you see the breakdown of cells and the breakdown of communication and the breakdown of your communication, you're looking at the acid side of chemistry, generally speaking, and you're looking at the lymph system, generally speaking. The lymph system can lead to calcifications. It can lead to the weakness of vascular walls and the collapsing or spasm of vascular walls. It can lead to cholesterol. As the body's effort to fight these acids, that effort can also yield some side effects that are not wanted, particularly long-term, because man was not supposed to follow this type of diet. Now, that said, I can also say that everything is the way it should be, and that's the way it is. And I can't make a judgment, man should have or shouldn't, because he did. So, bottom line is, man got away from this, and I think it's the immaturity of the human consciousness, and this process of health, or dis-ease, is a process of growth of consciousness, because those souls have to learn how to regenerate, how to get the God power going back into the body, let alone their own consciousness. But how do I get that God power back to those cells again? Or call it nutrition, call it physics or energetics, call it energy, consciousness. It doesn't matter. It's all God. How do I turn that cell back on? How do I get that cell repaired, rebuilt, remembered genetically? How do I do that? And that's going to lead you right back into what most of you are already doing, the raw foods. Who cares if someone has a little meat once in a while? You know, perfection, you kind of set that to the side because that breeds ego a little bit. So just tear into this. Yeah, to get to these higher levels like Alzheimer's, dementia, MS, Lou Gehrig's. I mean, just look at these clients and you want to be way up there. And the problem with Alzheimer's is you've got the elderly and you've got the forgetfulness. I took care of my grandmother for several years with Alzheimer's, and I'm very aware of it. My significant other ran an Alzheimer's unit, even though she's a cardiac nurse. She ran an Alzheimer's unit for a number of years, and pretty heart-ripping when you see what humans are reduced to. But it's dis-ease. It is obstructions from the lack of eating properly. It's the lack of understanding of health. It's not their fault. It's the human consciousness and what it sold itself out for. A little bit of money, a little bit of this. So anyway, let me go on with this Alzheimer's. I would definitely go after the common, what would you guys do? We do the 2 kidneys, right? We would do definitely 2 lymphatics. Now, you would want to do lymphatic 4 maybe to start out with, and lymphatic 1 capsules, get into that bowel, clean up the bowel, because I can tell you this transverse portion of your colon controls the brain. You always want to clean up the bowels. Remember Jensen, N.W. Walker, especially Jensen, who knew the iris, and he wrapped the embryo around the iris and pointed to the embryonic trunk as the gut tissue and how it related to the brain and how it relates to all the other organs and glands. So you always clean up the bowels, you always get the kidneys and, of course, the adrenals that control them back online. But you want to get up in here. That's why the brain and nerve, upper circulation, push that blood. At the same time, you got to move lymph. Leo, you got to move their lymph systems because this is going to breed occlusions of calcifications or cholesterol. And the withdrawal of blood, of course, ischemia is not going to be a good thing for cells either. That's what terminates them a little faster. But always lymph, move their lymph systems. When they're elderly like that, a bit of a trip to put them on a real powerful diet like this with the raw. Now, some can do it, some can't. I've had all levels. We pulled them out of nursing homes and then not so. So it's all levels about whether you can control that, the dietary source, and control the person and all that other thing, because you can get to all levels of Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's has all types of levels to it that some is just really tearful. It's just sad to see like that. Personally, I would rather have the green pill, termination pill, because life isn't life anymore. And that's trapping me here as soul. You must live in the heavens. Let the earth and everybody do what they're going to do, but you must learn to be in the heavens and never fear death. If you're not dying, nothing dies. Remember, we talked about that before, and you can't kill anything. It only appears that. This is the illusionary world. This is the appearance of drama and the play and the actors on the stage. But you can't kill consciousness. You can't kill yourself. You'll just move and take on another form or use another form to experience different things. So you can't kill yourself. But this is what I'm saying. There's a lot of fear in people about death, and we have to learn to grow consciously and to appreciate who we are beyond the bodies. But if you want to be here, you got to get strict and moving your lymph systems. So work on, if this is your parents or whatever, Leo, you work on them, do your best you can, but raw. And this is a lot of fruits, berries, and melons. That's really the key for neurological central nervous system problems and stuff like this. Really important that you do that route. And use the herbs, upper circ, brain and nerve, at least on mine. If you're using others, get herbs for the brain, turning on, rebuilding, more oxygenation of the brain cells, things like that.